Hey guys, it is Gwen here, and tonight I am going to be showing you our DIY subscription box kit for January. Our box comes out every other month, and we always have fun new projects that are exclusive to our club members for a year. But this month, and this entire year actually, we're going to be focusing on kind of building our craft box. And so I'll show you a little bit about what we have in this month's box that you can continue to reuse time and time again. But this month we are going to be using it to make a fun photo frame. So I am terrible about printing photos, but that is high on my goal list to do. But we've got some different colors to play with. I'll kind of show you what's in the box, but we've got this photo frame. For this one I use the, some call it chaos, we call it family option. My photo protective piece, my acrylic piece is going to slide in here with a photo, and you can slide it right in from the top. And then it does have a stand on the back of it so that you can stand your photo frame up and be ready to use it. I love these fun patterns, and so we're gonna get into using some of them. So let me set this one aside. We'll unpack what's in our kit. So in your paint strip, I got a couple of different colors. I tried to pick some neutrals and some that are just fun with home decor. This end one that's a brown is actually a stain, and we've got black. This is a new color we just added to our lineup, which is edamame. It's like a mossy, sagey green, and I really, really like it. We've got white. This is our kind of dusty rose color. It's called Brandy Snaps. It's really popular, and Tropics, which is a favorite among everyone. We've got a flat brush, a foam brush, some sponges, and then our little itty bitty glue bottle. And then in your packaging itself for your kit, our note does go right down here. It kind of welcomes you to the month. It reminds you what our new coupon code is, because as a member you do get 10% off other projects and workshops, and then there is a little QR code here for a membership survey. We still have some people who haven't taken it yet, but it asks things like what, if we do a personalized project, what name you would like on that project, because sometimes our maiden names or something else is on our order form. So yeah, if you guys would take a moment to fill that out, it would help us out. It's got some other questions on there too, but that's one of the most important ones for wanting to do some personalized projects. And then of course you've also got a picture of the project there. I'll get this all opened up and show you what's inside the package. Oh, the other thing you'll notice too, this is something we just started this month that hopefully will help you guys, but let me show this part on here. The underside of our photos, we're working on updating all the ones that are on the website, but this will also be on our kits in store, has kind of a color inspiration guide. Colors that we used for the project are colors that I think would work really well for it. So if you are ordering kits or you stop in the shop to pick something up, there's some color recommendations there, because I know a lot of times we get, what color did you use? And yeah. Alrighty, so inside the kit itself, you're gonna have, this is gonna be your top frame piece. This part here is going to be what creates that space behind here for your photo and your acrylic protector to slide into. This is the acrylic protection piece, and there are pieces on either side of it that you peel off. Kind of like when you get new electronics, it has that piece that'll peel away there. That just keeps your acrylic from getting scratched while we're shipping it. This is going to be your stand for the back, and I'll show you guys how to assemble that when we get there. And then you're going to notice that our stencils look a little different this month. They're not our usual green color because these are reusable stencils. So this, it's kind of hard to see, of course, on the camera, but this one is the, some call it chaos, we call it family stencil. There is also a you and me, which again is hard to see on here. There's a little heart stencil that you can use just as added accents. And then we have our pattern stencil, which this is really popular right now in home decor, this kind of, I don't know, Moroccan tile type pattern that you can reuse on lots of other projects too. But let's get down to kind of checking this thing out. Oh, and then of course your baseboard. This kind of U shape should be facing upward on your project, because this is where you're gonna glue this piece on so that you kind of can line everything up. But yeah, so I did my original one. I did a more neutral set with the kind of everyday with the moss green. I think this one I'm going to go with more of a Valentine's Day theme and do more of the, I don't know, kind of love version of this, just to show you guys some different ways that you can design this. So I wanted to include something that was Valentine's Day lovey-dovey if you wanted to go that route, but if you want to do more of a family one, then you've got that option too. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I thought I had my colors picked out, and then I went and changed it right now in my head as I was talking. That's okay. All right, so I'm going to do, I'm really a sucker for stain, so I'm still going to use stain. I thought about trying to do something else, but I'm not going to. So I've got my stain, which, like I said, that's going to be the first one on your strip. It's going to be the brown, and it's a little bit waterier than actual paint is, just so it spreads nicer. I'm going to use my foam brush for that one. I'm just going to dip it down into there, and then on my project, I'm just going to start swiping it. You'll see it goes on a little thinner than an actual paint. I'm going to eyeball about where the second kind of curve shape is down at the bottom. I'll show you when I'm got it on here. Now, if you wanted to, you could also use painter's tape or something like that to tape this off. It doesn't have to be that perfect. So get all this brushed on. One more stain. I think I'm going to do this one in kind of a, I don't know, like distressed, romantic Valentine's Day-y theme. That's what we're going for, I think. Alrighty, so I'm going to kind of eyeball right across here. So all I did was I took my brush and kind of flat ways instead of wide was make kind of a line straight across, and that's where I'm going to kind of eyeball to stop my stain. I'm going to paint that bottom part so my stain doesn't have to be perfect. But as long as it's kind of in that general area, I'll be good. Drag this over. There we go. The other thing I'll mention too is totally up to you, but I'm not going to worry too much about what happens on this inside part because you're not going to see it once I finally get a photo printed and put it in there, right? Is anybody else really guilty about never printing photos? I take tons of them. I have nice ones. We've had professional photos done. We've had just fun camera photos that came out nice, and I've still forgotten to do the nice things with them. Anyway, so I've got that part. This lower piece, I think I'm going to do it in the pink. Maybe. Yes, we're going to do pink. So I'm going to open up that dusty pink color. For this, I'm going to use my flat brush. I'm just going to dip it in there and just start painting away. And get this part all pinked up. White would have been really pretty here too, and then use pink as your accent color, but I think this will work really nice. Now, if you prefer to use a bigger brush, you definitely can. I just like these little small brushes. I feel like I don't lose as much control with them. But they're my go-to. I don't know if you can see it in the background on my shelf here. We've got a bucket completely full of these ones, and then we have some really, really pointy ones that we use once in a while for small details. We did just add ceramics in the shop, and so I've been working on painting some samples for those, and the little teeny tiny brush is great for the little, I don't know, little nooks and crannies on our ceramic pieces. They're really fun. So originally I ordered the ceramics more intended for projects for kids, especially for walk-in classes and open studio times, and I eventually need to add a birthday party package where you can come in, mom can book the party, and then the kids come in and pick when they come in. So you're never worried about, you know, this friend likes this and this friend likes that. We'll have all kinds of different options for girls and boys. But as I've been painting the samples, they're really fun, I'm not gonna lie. I painted a little cactus one the other day and got all the little spines painted on it a different color, and it was really fun. So maybe I got them for the kids, maybe I got them for me. I'm not sure which at this point. But somebody is getting to paint ceramics. But our ceramics are not, they don't have to be kiln fired, they're all decorative, and so we have a clear coat that just goes on top of them that you brush on once they're all painted and dry, and they don't take very long to dry. They kind of soak the paint in really well. But yeah, you put that clear coat over top of them and it seals them, makes them look really nice and shiny, and I love them. And it's nice because you can take them home same day, you don't worry about coming back to pick them up. But yeah, get the rest of this one all brushed on here. I was going to tell you guys too, usually we do our subscription boxes on Thursday nights, but you're seeing me on a Tuesday night because Thursday is Levi's 7th birthday, and he's having a party this weekend, but we haven't decided exactly what we're doing, but we know Thursday we'd like to celebrate the actual day. He's gone back and forth. He's told me he wanted to go rock hunting. Yes, as if we don't have enough indoor rocks at our house already. But he's between rock hunting or fishing. And so I'm trying to convince him that he should go fishing at one of the ponds, but we'll see what he decides on. Who knows? That crazy kid. I was looking I was induced with him, and so my memories from 7 years ago today, our, you know, last pregnancy picture. At least I thought it was going to be, you know, my last day being pregnant, but sure enough, it took him another 2 days to decide to make his debut, but that's okay. That is okay. And then it kind of works out too. So he is January 30th and Rainy is August 30th. So both my babies were 30th. I don't think that's a word. Both born on a 30th of different months. I was induced with both, but for very different reasons. Levi didn't show up on time, so they were like, hey, get that baby out. And Rainy needed to come out early. So yeah, there's that. All right, I'm gonna let that dry and see if there's any spots I need to go back over. I'm really thinking about kind of distressing it, so I'm not worried if it's got some pieces that are still showing, but I'll kind of show you where I'm at so far. So like I said, I didn't worry about the area that's inside where the frame is. You can paint it, it's not gonna hurt it. But I mainly focused on what's outside of the frame in that lower half. So now, we're gonna use the big scary stencil. Reusable stencils, the cool thing about this is they are set up to where you will never have any pieces you have to peel out. You don't have to pick anything out. You can literally lay this down on your project, do what you're gonna do with it, and then take it off. Now, I really liked just having the pattern kind of in this top part, so that's what I'm gonna do on mine. But if you wanted to pattern the whole thing, it's big enough to do that. We designed it so that it was a big enough stencil to pattern the whole project. If you didn't wanna put text on there, or maybe, that would be cute too, pattern the whole thing and then use your heart stencil to make hearts in the middle of these, or I don't know, there's a lot of different options. But yeah. So all you do when you're using a reusable stencil is I'm gonna line this up right where I want it to be. And it is the same size as your baseboard. So if you use like the edges of the stencil and put it to the edge of your board, it's going to be straight, which is really nice. Yes, that was planned. But I'm gonna edge that piece on there. Now, if you wanted to, you could use a piece of painter's tape to tape this down. You don't have to. It's gonna, or really any kind of tape, a piece of Scotch tape would do the trick as well, but you don't have to. So I'm gonna edge that right where I want it to go. And I think I'm gonna do my pattern in white this time. So I'm gonna open my white paint. Now here's where the trick comes in. And if you wanted to, you could practice on the back side of this or even on just a scrap piece of cardboard, wood, whatever you've got hanging around. If you've got an Amazon box hanging around, I know you do. You could do the same thing to kind of practice, but I'm gonna go right into it. I'm gonna use my sponge. I'm gonna dip it into my paint. I'll pull this down here so you can kind of see it. I'm gonna swipe my excess off. So this is something where you could have a paper towel next to you too that you could dab some of the extra. You just want enough on kind of the face of your sponge and not like a lot of buildup. And now we're gonna go in and we're gonna dab, dab, dab real lightly. I'm keeping my hand on the stencil to keep it in place. And you'll notice my stencil jumps a little bit. See how it's kind of popping up? That's okay. As long as you keep your stencil in the same spot and you're just sponging real lightly. This is where light coats and light painting is really, really important. Just pounce it on there real light. And again, with this one, I'm gonna not worry too much about getting in the background part of where my photo is gonna go. I'm mostly gonna do outside around my edges. But I'm gonna fill this whole stencil in, and then I'll show you what to do since it doesn't go all the way to the edge. If it went all the way to the edge, it would hang off the side and not stay together, and I'll show you kind of two options you could do. But let me get this all filled in. Of course, stenciling is the part where I get real quiet and focus on what I'm doing, and I try to talk so I don't bore you guys, but I can't talk too much. I'm gonna move my hand further up closer to where I'm stenciling at. Now, I'm sure the question will come up too, if you can wash this stencil. You can. You really don't have to wash it all that much. Once this layer dries, this layer of paint dries on there, it really doesn't need all that much maintenance, I guess you would say. You can leave it kind of as is and not worry too much about it. But if you would like to wash it, I would use something like a really mild cleaner, and then just wipe it down and then set it somewhere flat so it can dry. But I'm gonna just leave my paint on there because it's gonna be just fine. It's not, I've used the silk screen style reusable stencils before, and those ones you do have to wash. This one you really don't have to. And you can get quite a few uses out of it too. So if you wanted to, you could use some scrap wood, or even pick up like Hobby Lobby, Michael's, those sorts of places have different kinds of photo frame type things. You could pick up some other frame options and make either a whole collection or make some of these as a gift for somebody. I think this would make for a fun like welcome home gift. The particularly, especially if it's a family, the chaos and family option, or the you and me would make a really cute option for an anniversary gift, a wedding gift. So you got some reusable stuff. So that's kind of be, we're in January, so I figured it was time to kind of focus on something cool. Our subscription box is going to focus a lot on kind of building your craft stash, if you will. We're going to have a lot of reusable pieces in there as kind of like bonus gifts throughout the year. I've got some already picked out. We're not going to never use real stencils again, but I do love this reusable stencil for this particular project and some other things that we're going to use them for. If saving this is not huge on your list, don't stress. You will not have to use this stencil again this year. Totally up to you, but the option does exist if you would like to. There'll be projects and ways that you can mix these pieces back in. But we will still be using some vinyl stencils throughout the year. We've got some other fun 3D stuff coming up, so don't stress about it. Just know that you can keep them if you would like to. All right. So I'm going to go through and look at it now that I've gone all the way around my shape. I'm just going to look to see if there's anywhere else that I feel like it needs a little more paint added in. And you'll notice as I kind of move around to different parts of my stencil, I focus on where my hand is in terms of holding it in place to make sure that I've got, like I said, it's going to bounce a little bit, but if you sort of focus on holding most of it close by, it'll help keep it nice and straight. A little more up here. And again, if you want to use painter's tape, scotch tape, something like that to hold it down, you totally can. I try to show you guys that everything that's needed for the project really is in the box, but of course there's all kinds of things you can add to it. So I'm going to peel this up, and you can see that my pattern on the top goes all the way to the edge, but on my sides, because of that kind of ridge around the stencil, it does not. Now I could leave it just like this and still look perfectly fine. On this one, I did go all the way to the edge and then fill in my bridges. So if you wanted to do that, all you do is take your stencil again, line it back up. So instead of using this very end one, I'll move over by one crisscross shape and kind of line, oops, where is it at? Let me find my spot. Right here. Line this back up to the edge of where your thing is. So you'll kind of look to see where your pattern's at. Line it up in there and then hold it in place, and then you're just going to dab in those extra edges, which should just be kind of one row's worth of edging pieces right along the edge of your design. For me, at least, it's just enough of the detail that I want to add it back in there, but you totally don't have to. So I'll kind of show you what the difference looks like. So on this side, it goes all the way to the edge. This side, it stops before it gets to the edge. So I'm going to make sure I balance it on the other side and take it all the way to the edge, and then we'll do our lettering on the bottom. Line this up over one. Edges all lined up there. Perfect. A little more paint. Add that last little piece on there, and then this part of our stencil will be done. And like I said, you can set this aside, you can rinse it if you want to, but you don't have to. There we go. Now my pattern goes all the way to my edges, so that part is on there. And now, like I said, this time I'm going to do the you and me design, which is going to be just this lettering here, and it's set up to where the middles of the letters are already going to stay in place. So all I have to do really is kind of line it up where I want that to sit. Now I could do it completely centered. I could kind of bring it down to one edge and make it off to one side, and then I could add some of like my cute little hearts on here. I might do that. That'd be kind of cute. Decisions. No, maybe I will center it. My heart says center it. So I'm going to center mine. I'm going to use the bottom of my stencil to be what aligns to the bottom of my project piece. Oh, before I do that though, if I'm going to distress, I better do that now. All right, so I talked about kind of distressing some stuff because I want my lettering to be bold. Got ahead of myself there. This has stain on it. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my excess white paint that was over here. Kind of just get some of that on there, just sort of messy. And then I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to brush it across where my solid pink part is. And there was not enough paint left there. So we're going to actually dip it into our paint to do this. If I can get it open nicely now. Eesh. There you go. All right, so I'm gonna get some of it out of the lid so I don't get any of the stain on there, but I'm gonna just kind of flick at my edges of my project to start. And then, this is the big scary part, I'm gonna go all the way across to bring some of that distressing in the middle of my project. And there's very, very little paint on my brush, so it's not gonna have a lot to drag, but just enough to give it some kind of cool texture. And so we brought a little bit of funky to my edges. Now, the cool thing is if I were to decide that was too much distressing any parts, I could always come back to my pink. If I can get it open again. Or whatever color I used underneath it if I decided that was too much distressing. If I can get it open again. And kind of use that almost as its own distressor and go right back over it. It's going to fade some of that out. So now I can come back in with some of this and use it almost like an eraser of sorts. And it makes it a little less heavy right on those edges if I mix some of this back into it. And then you can kind of play around and go back and forth with it as much as you want to add some different kind of detailing to the edges. But I think I'm going to leave that one as is for right now. And we'll see if I decide to add more later. But let's get in here and stencil. So I'm trying to decide, do I want to do black lettering or white lettering? I think I actually might do white lettering and stay away from the black on this one. So I've got my lettering set on here. I'm going to use my same sponge that I used to stencil on the top. Since I'm using white again, I'm going to dip it into my paint. Sponge some of that off. Because again, I still want to do light paint versus really heavy paint. Line that up right there, and I'm going to hold it down with my hand. I'm going to pounce, 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 just like I did on the top. This is where every time we stencil something, I try to remind everybody to pounce instead of swipe, but on these, it's extra important to pounce instead of swipe, because if you swipe, you're just going to push your stencil around, you're going to push your paint around, and it's not going to do what you want it to. More. I usually, so I always tell everybody, you know, 2 coats, let one dry, and then go into the second one. If you do your coat light enough, you can almost, as soon as you're done with your first coat, go to your next letter and then come back and it'll be ready for you to go back in with a second coat. The biggest trick though on that is just to remember lighter coats dry more even and usually come out nicer. And then you don't worry as much about paint seeping underneath anything. Like I said, if using this reusable stencil makes you nervous, grab any kind of scrap that's nice and smooth like our boards are, and you can practice a few times and kind of get a feel for it and then put it onto your final project. Upside to it being reusable is you can reuse it. Let's go ahead. So on this one with the Y on the you and me, the bottom loop in the Y is pretty wobbly. So I'm going to hold that part down first while I'm painting the rest of the letter. And then when I get down to the bottom part of that, I'll let it go and kind of hold the top of my Y. Just to kind of help hold it in place. There we go. So now we'll peel that part up out of there. And I've got my little you and me. I want to put those hearts in somewhere. I just haven't decided where yet. We'll come back to that. So I'm going to set these guys aside. I'm going to set this piece in place. And I was really trying to tell myself to do a different color frame than black or white. Where did I lose my frame at? Than black or white, but I feel like it needs to be black to have a good pop on it, or white, or black, or white. Pink is not the right color. I do know that much. I don't think I want to stain it. We're gonna try white. We're gonna go for it. I've already got white out. Let's use it. And if nothing else, we distress it with some stain and call it good. So I'm gonna use that same sponge, and I'm gonna sponge right over the face of my frame. I'm trying not to get too much paint down on the sides of it, but if you do decide you want to go all in and paint all your sides, you definitely can. It's not fun to paint the sides of laser cut pieces, so I try not to as much as I can. want this part painted in white. Ooh, that's another thing you do too. If you have any of your stencils left over from the welcome home, I used it as a mail slot, but if you had, I know those ones we did some last name options on it, and there was also the welcome one, you could put those on there, and then it'd be cute to do like little, you could do printables instead of a photo, do like a little printable that has, you know, a seasonal something if you used your welcome in this space, and then put, you know, your little seasonal printable and put this in your entryway. That's a cute option too. It doesn't have to be a photo frame. There's really a lot of cool options you can do with this sort of stuff. And the photo is really easy to kind of shake back out. It's got enough room, and if you press against that acrylic piece and kind of slide up underneath the frame, it'll come right back out. So it's easy to swap the photo out too, or a little mini sign or whatever you're wanting to put in there. This guy in. We just call this dab, dab, dab painting, and when we have the mini, we call them mini makers. It used to be toddler time. We had, and she just popped up in my memories too, this little gal that would come in named LaRue, and we had, you know, during one of our mini makers, we're telling, okay, we dab, 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 right? And so we're trying to show them how to, you know, dab, 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 and we made it kind of like a little, I don't know, song and dance, something fun to keep them engaged. And she would stand right up there and she'd dab, 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 and dance, and it was adorable. Their family moved a couple years ago, and I miss that little squirt. Rainy is very much a dancey girl. Everything music is danceable, and she gets real excited. We are starting to sing too. She has wheels on the bus down, like all the moves, the hand moves, the doors on the bus go open and shut, the whole 9 yards. Thank you, shout out to Miss Rachel for that one. But she's getting the rest of the song, like, you know, the little nursery songs down. We've almost got her singing the E-I-E-I-O's for Old MacDonald, which was one of Levi's first singing parts in a song, and I love it so much. It's crazy to see the similarities and the differences between the two of them. But it's fun. Got a little spot over here. I'm going to add a little bit more paint. White is one of those colors that, for lack of a better word, is unforgiving. It's one that usually takes a couple of coats to get it nice and thick. And our black is the same way, which is funny because usually black covers really, really well. Our black still, I feel like to get a good solid black, you still need 2 coats. But when you get those 2 coats, they look really, really good. So there is my white frame piece. Okay, I like the white. It's cute. I still feel like I want to put some of those hearts in somewhere. I'm just trying to figure out where. Maybe 3 of them down here. I don't know. I'm not going to mess with that part right now. We're going to focus on the project, and then I'll stare at it for another week and decide if I want to do anything else to it. All right, so let's get our pieces glued on there. There's my glue. So I got my little itty bitty glue bottle, which you don't need very much of it for this project. All I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this part first. I'm going to focus on kind of where the bigger ridges are. I'm going to put dots on those parts because it really does not take very much glue for this one. Go, glue, go. Oops. Dang ring. The little keep the cap on ring popped off of there, but that's okay. I'm just trying to put a little tiny bit of glue in each dot. All right, so I'll show you what I'm talking about. Each one of my little bumps is kind of where I put the glue so that it's got, you know, kind of a more, where there's more meat on the wood, so to speak. But I'm going to line that up right with my alignment lines that were scored into the project. And if you saw, I painted and stained right over them, and I could still definitely see them just fine. So I'm going to hold that in place for just a second so it kind of sets up. And then what I'm going to do, rather than, usually I am a put the glue on the back of your piece sort of person, but since this one is not going to cover the whole back of our frame so that we have, you know, room for the photo to go in, I'm going to put my glue on this piece and then set this on top of it. I'm going to go back in and put my little dots, basically the exact same way that I did the back side. I'm going to do the front side any of those outer bump pieces is where I'm going to put my glue. I feel like I'm piping frosting and I'm trying to be very careful with it, but it really doesn't have to be perfect because I'm never going to see this part. Alrighty, make sure that's lined up right. Perfect. And then I'm going to take my frame piece and set it right on top. Now I will tell you, your under piece, the spacer essentially, is a little bit smaller than your frame, and that's so that your frame kind of looks like it's floating and you don't have to worry about your edges showing up anywhere. So if you kind of look around from your sides, you can look to see where it's supposed to align to. You kind of just get it centered up on there. It's sort of hard to see, but if you look, you can see where, I guess kind of on the corner here, where the spacer piece is inset from the outer frame. And that's just supposed to give you kind of some wiggle room when you're lining everything up. So that is my cuter, more lovey-dovey Valentine's Day. Like I said, I'm going to put some of those hearts on there. I just haven't decided where they're going to go yet. And rather than making you guys sit here while I'm trying to make a decision, we're gonna care. Oh, I'm gonna need that again. So let that part dry for just a second. Honestly, it's probably fine. So we're gonna flip it over and I'm gonna show you guys how to do the stand on the back. So you will have two of these little rectangle pieces with the circles in them. You're gonna have the longer rectangular bar with the two, and then your big actual leg piece, I guess you would call it. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna put our circles onto this arm, and there's not a proper left and right. There's no wrong answer to these, but they're just kind of hanging there for a minute. And then I'm gonna slide them. So this is the part where I am moving some stuff. These guys are gonna slide out to where they pop into those little holes. Now they're not gonna have to stick in there real well. We're just kind of getting them so that they're in those holes, and they will end up lining up flush to the back, but I've just got them in place for right now. I'm gonna hold on to this. I should have left my glue open. Open my glue, and I'm gonna kind of cover this whole piece right here with glue, including this dark part right here that has those tabs. I'm gonna put some glue right on top of those as well, because this is the part that we're gonna put onto our board, and we want to kind of stick all together. Now, I will say, yes, I'm putting glue all over it, but it doesn't have to be like drenched and covered. I guess I should say that too. So I've got kind of my messy glue there. Now what I'm gonna do is hold this all kind of in place together. I'm gonna line the bottom of my easel piece up to the bottom of my board and get it about as centered as I can. If it's not perfectly centered, it's going to be okay. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push that rectangle, that big rectangle with the two slots in it, flat down, and then I'm gonna push my tabs essentially down into that. So all of those have glue underneath them. Everything's pretty squared up here. Make sure it's mostly centered. And again, this does not have to be perfect. You have wiggle room. But I'm gonna let that part set there for just a minute so it can dry. This glue does dry pretty quickly, especially when you don't use gobs and gobs and gobs of it. But I can put that part away, let it dry for just another second. Applying a little bit of pressure is helpful too. And it's because this glue does not, it sets quickly, but not so quickly that you can't adjust it, that if you pick it up like this and look at it and go, oh, actually it needs to come over a little bit, you can bump it over pretty easily. There we go. So there's my piece. Is it perfectly centered? No. Is it gonna work still? Yes. And then this little easel just pops out. It stops right like that. So I have my little photo frame. And then, like I said, you've got your acrylic piece here. You can pull if I can get it to come off, the scratch resistant parts of it off of there. And of course you would normally load this with your photo, which I do not have printed yet, but is on my to-do list. I have a frame to put the photo in, so I'm halfway there, right? But this piece, it'll just slide right in from the top. That's why that's important to have that U shape go underneath it. But this piece will slide in there with your photo, and then you have a cute little photo frame that you made that you can put, like I said, this one, of course, I would put more of one of our, okay, I will tell you this. This was my first attempt, right? I did not size something quite properly, so my first one goes like this. My corrected one, the one that you guys got in the mail, doesn't do that. So There you go, a little behind the scenes final draft versus first draft, but I've got kind of my more family version, and then this of course is my more, and of course I did the pink, more girly, romanticized version. I don't know, this one will have a wedding photo, this one will have a family photo in it. But there's a lot of different possibilities and stuff you could do with it. Like I said, if you have your welcome stencil still laying around, or maybe you grabbed a welcome and haven't figured out what to do with it from our craft scrap sale, that would be really cute to put down underneath here, or really a lot of the words down underneath here, and then you could do little 4x6 printable pieces that you could put in there, like sign-wise, so that'd be fun too. But like I said, these stencils are reusable. Stash them, use them for something else if you want to. You can see this one's already dried, and I could easily go back in and either use the same section or even move around and use a different part of the stencil to create other stuff. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this project. It was something a little bit different. We didn't go full into Valentine's Day because I know some people don't decorate for it. Last year we did Valentine's Day very heavy. This year I want to do something a little different that you can leave up kind of all year round. I am still in the process of taking Christmas decorations down, if I'm being honest.